Hello everyone, Bill Parish here from GTT Audio, and welcome to the channel today. Today I'm joined with the audio analyst, also known as Greg Weaver. Greg, thank you, and appreciate you being here.
Bill, thanks for having me. It's been a blast. We've had a good time the last couple days. So,
yes, we have.
It's going to be fun.
I invited Greg in to listen to the Master Fidelity NADAC DNC and the Vivid Audio Moya M1s.
Them guys right there.
Yeah, we're shooting from the big room here. The system's in front of us. Right. And yeah, just real quick, taking everyone through the system. Obviously, when he talks about the NADAC, that's what we're listening to. When we talk about the Moya M1s, the source was the NADAC, and it was the Discovery,
the Kronos
Discovery turntable. We were using the AudioNet PAM G2 phono stage, the Ampere power supply that goes with that. The files were being served into the NADAC system with an Orlick Aries G2. Kabbalah Sosna realization cables throughout on the front end, plugged into a Kabbalah Sosna expander, amplifiers, dual monos, so 2 sets of mono blocks, 4 AudioNet Heisenberg amplifiers, and then the speakers were the Vivid Audio Moya M1s. So, Greg, this is outside of the Munich show, which is show conditions. I've said it on the channel. I believe you've said it on your channel. I mean, Vivid is it's a B2B show.
Right.
Or not Vivid, Munich. Munich is a B2B show.
Yeah.
Not the best sounding.
It's never been about the sound,
but it's about the exposure and everything else.
Networking,
you got to sample this stuff there, but you got to listen to it here.
Yeah, we got to get a taste of them there, and I presented that on my channel too. We did that video there, but yeah, this has been 3 days of again, damn it, just about every time I come here. You expand my horizons somehow. And this was a double whammy. I think you want to talk about the Master Fidelity first?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what?
Yeah. We're going to cover both.
We're just up here having a discussion. We're going to cover whatever you want.
But I'm not anywhere near as format dependent as I used to be. I'm more format agnostic than ever, and I used to be extremely biased to vinyl. Digital has gotten so much better over the last decade, in particular, or maybe the last 3 or 4 years. But what you played for me, is so different. And I don't mean just different. I mean closer to what I expect to hear from a master tape or whatever than I've usually, than I've ever heard from another digital playback system. Now, the thing that should be, I think, said is that not only do I find it to be more real sounding, to be more engaging, more involving, more everything is transparent to the sources, but it's nowhere near the most expensive digital system. It's less than my digital system is.
It's half price to a lot of this. Well, that's a quarter.
Some that are more.
There's some stuff out there that's 4 or 5 times the price of this. So this is not by any means. I mean, this is a value.
Yeah,
no question. Me, especially it's the finest performing digital source.
The best I've heard from
digital source I've ever heard,
the way this reconstructs files,
it's a fraction of the price of what's available out there.
I mean, there's a naturalness here, and there's when you say resolution to some people, that's like, oh, that's code for
analytical.
That's not what I meant here. No, I mean with the resolution I'm talking about is resolving fingers on strings or on frets, and I mean there's a resolution that's much more intimate and immediate, much more like what you would hear in the presence of a live guitar being played or a live piano being played. We heard piano recordings that you literally hear the hammer strike the string.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
absolutely.
that's recording dependent. You can record badly and never hear that, or you can record well and never hear it on other systems. But when it's done properly, dude, this system takes that kind of reality to a transparency level that makes it invisible as a source. It sounds more like music than it does playback.
Yes.
And I got to tell you,
Sounds more real.
Yeah, I mean, I was real surprised. I thought I honestly wasn't sure, and I'm sure, it's always going to get better, but I just didn't realize that it could get that much better this quickly. I wasn't expecting it. And then take that and feed it through Dick's Moyas, and oh my God.
Well, both of the companies, all the companies I represent, and especially the components that are in this system, are doing something different than the rest of the crowd.
Yeah, that's pretty much the truth.
I mean, they really are.
Yeah.
Joe builds his cables differently. Sometimes people say when building a cable, you have to do this, 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 and this. And he's done just the opposite. Kronos.
Oh, my God.
I mean, Louie's done the opposite of what everyone says. I mean, he doesn't have a 200-pound platter or even a 75-pound platter for that matter. The stuff that AudioNet's done is just ridiculous. They do things absolutely differently in many regards, especially with the Stern and the Heisenberg.
Yeah.
Then now you look at the Master Fidelity. And the Master Fidelity is, we're going to talk about it in your video on your channel, so I won't get into all the depth here. I want you to go to the Audio Analyst and subscribe and watch what Greg does, because Greg has just absolutely terrific content and dives into things a lot more than we do on my channel.
Thanks, buddy. The check's in the mail. I really appreciate it, Bill.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you. I'm just joking. I'm joking.
Of
Thank
course,
you so much, buddy.
Of course. No, I mean it. But NADAC is doing things, Master Fidelity. They're doing things
It's
differently.
very different.
It's the only true 1-bit DAC on the market today. Go to the webpage. Read about it. There's certain things on my channel that I don't connect all the dots to. I want to strike an interest, and I want you to do a little legwork yourself, because I find if that's happened to me, and I've asked certain questions in certain hobbies I've done, and people just give you a little bit and then tell you, go
do the research.
Go read this, do that.
Yeah.
You appreciate it more.
Of course.
You do.
Yeah.
If you do the research and then you have questions, then
that's
come
different,
back.
yeah. And more importantly, sometimes when you're spoon-fed, you don't remember it because you're not paying attention.
That's the real thing.
Yeah.
I could get into all the nuts and bolts, and you're not going to remember it anyway.
I mean,
If you're truly interested, go read it.
Yeah. Well, that's why I asked for the broad strokes. I want people, when they look at it, to see
exactly.
This is the generic reason why it's so different.
But, this is a completely linear DAC, which you don't get with multi-bit. You don't get it with discrete. You don't get it with FPGA.
It's pretty significant, in my opinion.
Yeah, and everything in there is custom done.
Yeah,
which we really explained on your video.
But, I mean, once you get past the technological reasons why it's better or why it's different, and in this case, different means better.
Yeah.
The real thing for me, I mean, I'm always, there's a little bit of engineering in me, and I want to know how this shit works. But I'm really taken by what we heard, and I don't know if I'll be able to convey this, but the difference, and with the Moyas at the end to pick all this up, the scaling, the dynamic envelope, the nuance, the subtlety, the microdynamic shading and nuances, stuff down by the noise floor, and the NADAC stuff for me, especially played through the Moyas with all the rest of this magical gear. I honestly didn't know that you could get there. I figured, digital always going to get better, but I just didn't know that this significant a sonic leap, and it's it's so different that it is that significant.
Well, that's my thought is, you get a new DAC and it's better. And you get a new DAC and it's better. And
incrementally better.
And the Moya Tambaqui, which we've sold so many. And you reviewed. And it's so incredible. It's so incredible. And it's so incredible at its
price and beyond.
It's better than 99% of the DACs out there. If I would rate it the second best DAC out there. but I always said what I said was, and I'll still say it. If you're looking to spend $100,000 or you're looking to spend $10,000, you owe it to yourself to listen to a Tambaqui
before you,
because that is one of the high-end audio's best buys, and it was better than, let's say, most things out there.
Yeah.
But this is so significally better than anything I've ever heard.
Yeah, and I mean,
and that's what you're saying.
Yeah, there's
it's shocking that
it's surprising
technology jumped that high.
Well, and it's not an advance in existing technology. It's not like a better PCM DAC. It's a different approach that was pushed to every limit they could do over time and money. And I mean, from what I understand, they spared neither to do this.
And I told you, I hate to call it digital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we're going to be seeing Dr. David Robinson soon.
Yes.
And he was one of the first guys that I saw on any channel or in writing say that, quad DSD is essentially an analog signal.
Yeah,
it's that close to approximating.
Joe Cabala, who does a lot of recording, would argue the same thing. And if you look at the square waves, and as you said, zoom in, and
it's not significantly different from an analog wave.
Quad DSD is analog.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
David will tell you that. Yeah. Trust me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, mobile fidelity.
They've been doing well. We won't bring that up.
There's a little bit of
we won't bring that up.
Well, why not? They thought it was good enough.
Yeah.
You feel it's good enough. Dr. David Robinson feels it's good enough. I feel it's good enough.
Well, he and I actually did a video on that entire subject.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing what they did.
Well, and
they archived it in quad DSD, and then they cut it.
Right.
Then they cut it.
Well, and the people need to understand that it wasn't just a random thing. Oh, we're going to start using DSD. In 2008, the Universal Fire took out, the estimates I've read were 175,000 master tapes. Okay, at that point, you couldn't get someone to send you a master tape to work with in your lab. You had to go to them, and when you go to them, you can't take a full recording laboratory and make a duplicate, which you're going to lose every time you dupe a tape. There's loss. So they used quad DSD to snag these things and brought them back. And the result was exceptional.
Well, I'm sure they did it on the emerging technologies system.
I'm not sure what they did. Yeah,
because if they're doing quad DSD, there's not much else out there.
Yeah.
So on the subject of, we'll let that dog sleep, but on the subject of mobile fidelity, last night.
Oh my God.
Love Over Gold. We listened to the first cut.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Mesmerizing. I mean, it is on its own, but it was like, yeah.
And then
you flipped it over because it's a 45 RPM.
45.
Private
investigations.
My God. There was something about that cut in particular. From the opening needle drop, the space was outside the sidewalls, behind the front wall. The space was enormous. Towards the end, there's a tom strike.
Yes.
We were like, holy shit.
Went right through us.
Dude, it was
we were not playing that loud.
No. I mean, but it was stunning. It was stunning.
Yeah, it was.
It was stunning.
We ended on that high note.
Yeah. We played a few of those yesterday, buddy.
There was, I was going to say, well, the first day we played all digital.
Yep.
Yesterday we played mostly Chronos, the Discovery, and this was so you could really get a grip on
the Moyas.
The Moyas. We wanted to take a little bit off of what the Master Fidelity was doing and let you hear something that you were also familiar with to be able to gauge. Yeah. And there was. We played some of your old war horses.
It was amazing.
We had the mobile Fidelity, Beethoven's Ninth, Chicago, Schulte.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we played so many things,
Yeah.
and you.
And it was all
from the noises that you were making.
I was going to ask for an adult diaper a couple of times, but
I do believe you were impressed.
Yeah, dude, there's no question. I mean,
the Moyas are special.
The Moyas are and we talked about this briefly in my video, but transparency has made huge leaps with loudspeakers over the last half a decade, 4 or 5 years in particular, as newer materials are being used and approaches to using those materials. And I've said probably 3 times over the last 2 or 3 years that, wow, I just heard this device, this product, and it is the most transparent I've heard. Now, I've said it because it's been true. It keeps changing. The Moya resets that bar. And in my experience, this is the most transparent speaker I've ever heard. It is so engaging. I mean, and if those of you out there that think resolution means etch and grain, you don't understand what we're talking about. No. Because to me, resolution is how you get to transparency, and
it's the resolution in the sense of live music. There's nothing in between you and it.
Yeah. And dude, this thing, the emotional connection to the music with this system has never been better. And I mean, one of the things that Joe and I were talking about was the effortlessness, the scale. These speakers scale. You know, one of the reasons a lot of people can't deal with mini monitors is they don't have the dynamic envelope to express that kind of scale. Oh shit, dude. These things, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's full 110 dB orchestral, 110 dB metal rock, it doesn't matter. I mean, they don't sweat. They just give you the music.
They raise the performance that we get out of all the other components, which means that they were clearly not a weak link, you know, but it's as if we're hearing the Discovery for the first time, the audio net for the first time, for me, the Master Fidelity, Joe's cables. I mean, it just the way that the system gels, and that the system, the bar in the system was raised significantly.
Yeah. There is a delivery here of a sense of reality, a sense of live, not recorded, okay, that is unprecedented in my experience. And I mean, look, nobody's heard everything. I get that. I get that. I've done a few things. I've heard a few things over the last week or two. And I mean, this, I'm 100 years old, leave me alone. But this system and the new digital front end, what the NADAC stuff, what the Master Fidelity stuff is bringing to digital, and I think I said this when we were talking earlier, hearing the NADAC system was, for me, hearing as much of a step forward in digital playback as hearing the Discovery brought to analog playback with LPs. I was so shocked. I mean, I don't want to minimize vinyl's exceptionalness, I don't, but what we heard with what the difference moving forward with the Master Fidelity stuff is, to me, as significant as moving from my Pro to the Discovery. Yeah, it was significant as hell. Yeah. I mean, the whole system did. I mean, you know, the David Bowie, I was almost unable to talk. It was like
you were pretty choked up.
I mean,
after
it was
that
like,
one.
oh my God. You know, I've heard that record, God, that easily 1,000 times. Not kidding. It's been out since the 71 or 2. And I mean, I could not believe. And you were playing an original, but it was a Dynaflex, which are notably leaner sounding in terms of body and texture. But his voice, the nuances in his voice, because he can croon, he can do all kinds of stuff. I was beside myself when it was over. It was phenomenal.
I think it's important to make a point to the viewers as well of the type of music that we played, which was every type.
We played everything.
We played from
solo piano, violin, cello.
To big scale symphonic, to organ, to rock.
Progressive rock. Jazz. I mean, Charlie Watts' piece was staggeringly good. Oh. That was really good.
That's one of my war horses, that thing. My
Yeah, we
goodness.
play. You know, I'm not the biggest jazz fan. You know, I like some jazz a lot. I'm not like dyed in the wool jazz.
Sure.
And the stuff we played that was jazz was stuff I knew and understood, and I was still hearing new things in it. And you know, I don't get to come here all that often. Well, I come pretty often, don't I? Yeah.
Well, you were here about
a year and a half ago. A little over a year ago.
I was going to say 18 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, dude, every time you bring me in here, it either costs me money or messes me up. Okay, so yeah. But it's been such an awesome experience, and I'm so grateful to be able to come here and get a chance to hear this kind of stuff. I couldn't buy these things, you know, and honestly, they wouldn't fit in my house right now. You know, my room's decent, but it's not that big.
Well, they might fit if you could get them down your staircase, and I can assure you I won't be participating in that.
They're called moving companies. Yeah. No, but there's, and you know, the thing, I think, I don't know, you'll probably have pictures of this stuff up if we're talking.
Absolutely.
But, you know, they're not small speakers by any stretch, but they're not overwhelming. They don't make you go, oh my God, what a massive, you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a true five-way. It's as coherent as any speaker I've ever heard. Period. Maybe it's extremely coherent. I shouldn't compare it to other speakers, but
it's as seamless as I've
it
ever
is
heard
seamless.
as well.
It's just nuts.
You're not hearing crossover points on this.
No. Dick's done his homework.
You know, what's the crossover point? Who cares?
Yeah.
Because you don't hear it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
How about that left hand of the piano?
Well, we were talking about that earlier today.
Yeah.
You know, there's a sonority and a power and a impact and a weight with left-handed piano that is often.
Well, that's where the bass notes are. Yeah.
And what I said was, do you know how many speakers would have crumbled? They wouldn't have even gotten this far. But these things, this system with the right sources, these speakers allow you to feel that dynamic tension and the power and the weight and the body in particular of left-hand piano.
Yes.
And it's better than usual. I'll say that. It's a lot better than usual.
Well, Greg, we're probably at the limit here. I know you and I could talk
too much.
you and I could talk about this forever.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate you guys tuning in. I really appreciate the time that you've spent here.
Happy to share it with you, buddy.
Getting to know this equipment and understanding it, and then conveying it to your viewers and participating on my channel.
Happy to do it, brother.
Much appreciated.
Anytime.
Thank you. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks, everybody.